The stars looked different from this part of space. Commander Tae-ho Kim stood at the wide viewing window of the Earth ship Horizon *, his hands clasped behind his back. After 3 months of travel, they had finally reached the meeting point. "Sir, they're here," said Lieutenant Ji-woo Park. She pointed to a cluster of lights that grew larger by the second. 5 alien ships approached. They were smooth and curved like water drops, nothing like the angular human ships. The largest one glowed with blue lights that pulsed like a heartbeat. "All systems ready?" asked Tae-ho. "Yes, sir. Shields at standby. Weapons powered down as agreed." Tae-ho nodded. "Good. Let's not give them any reason to worry." It was 2157, and humanity had only been traveling between stars for 30 years. Finding the Galactic Confederation had been a shock. 27 alien species, all working together for thousands of years. And now, humans wanted to join. The radio crackled. "Earth vessel Horizon *. This is Confederation ship Eternal Harmony *. Prepare for docking." "Understood. Eternal Harmony *. We are ready," Tae-ho replied. The alien ship grew larger in the window until it filled the entire view. Metal touched metal with a soft thud. "Docking complete," Ji-woo said. "Air seals are good." Tae-ho straightened his blue uniform. "Time to meet our new neighbors." The Confederation's ship was bigger inside than it looked. The walls curved like the inside of a seashell, and a light seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere. An alien with pale blue skin and 4 arms walked toward them. It wore something like a silver robe. "I am Seth, High Speaker of the Confederation," it said in perfect English. "Welcome aboard." Tae-ho bowed slightly. "Commander Tae-ho Kim of Earth. This is Lieutenant Ji-woo Park, our language expert." Ji-woo smiled and bowed too. "Your ship is beautiful." "Thank you," said Seth. "Please follow me. The council is waiting." They walked through long hallways where aliens of different shapes and sizes moved about. Some looked almost human. Others had no faces or floated instead of walked. "How many species are here right now?" asked Ji-woo. "Representatives from 12 worlds," Seth answered. "The others are watching from their home planets." They entered a large round room with a circle of seated aliens. In the center was a floating ball of light that changed colors slowly. "The High Council," Seth announced. Tae-ho stepped forward. "Thank you for meeting us. Earth is honored to begin friendship with the Confederation." A tall, thin alien with green skin stood up. "Commander Kim, we have watched your people for some time." "We have concerns." Tae-ho kept his face calm, but his heart beat faster. "Concerns? Your species advances very quickly," said another alien with feathers instead of hair. "In just a few hundred years, you went from horse travel to starships. And your history is full of wars," added a third alien. Seth raised 2 of its 4 hands. "What my colleagues mean is that we must be careful. New species must prove they can be peaceful members of our community." Tae-ho nodded slowly. "I understand. Earth has a complex history, but we have united and found peace. We come as friends." "We shall see," said the green alien. Later, in their private room, Ji-woo checked the translation device again. "Something is strange," she said. "When they speak to each other, the device translates differently than when they speak to us." Tae-ho looked up from his tablet. "What do you mean?" "It's like they're using different words with each other, more guarded." Tae-ho was about to ask more when his tablet beeped. A message from Earth, marked urgent. He opened it and read quickly. His face grew pale. "What is it?" Ji-woo asked. "3 of our outpost colonies have gone silent," Tae-ho said quietly. "No contact for 2 days. Could it be equipment failure?" Tae-ho looked at the door, then back at Ji-woo. "All 3 at once. The outposts that are closest to Confederation space." Ji-woo's eyes widened. "You don't think?" "I don't know," Tae-ho said. "But I think our new friends might not be as friendly as they seem." Outside their window, the stars looked cold and distant. Somewhere out there, 3 human colonies had fallen silent, and the Galactic Confederation was hiding something. The first contact was complete, but something told Taiho that the real meeting between humans and aliens had not yet begun. 6 months had passed since the first meeting. Commander Taiho Kim now lived in a small room on the Confederation's central station. The walls were too curved, the air too sweet. It did not feel like home. Another meeting canceled, he said, looking at his tablet. That's the 3rd this week. Lieutenant Ji Woo Park sat across from him, surrounded by alien language files. They're avoiding us. Yes, said Taiho. And still no word about our missing colonies. The Confederation had given many excuses: technical problems, lost messages, natural disasters. But Taiho did not believe them. A soft knock came at the door. When it opened, Dr. Yunhai Choi stood there, looking over her shoulder. Can I come in? She asked quickly. Taiho nodded. Yunhai was Earth's top scientist for studying alien life. She had arrived 2 months ago. Once the door closed, Yunhai placed a small device on the table. It lit up with a blue shield. Now we can talk, she said. This blocks their listening tools. Jaiwoo leaned forward. You found something. Yes. Yunhai's hands shook as she showed them her tablet. I was allowed into their biology lab yesterday, but I got lost and ended up in a different room. The tablet showed pictures of human bodies, cut open, studied. What is this? Taiho asked, his voice hard. They've been studying us. For decades, maybe longer, Yunhai said, before we even knew they existed. Jaiwoo pointed to strange marks on the bodies. What are these? Tests, said Yunhai. They're testing weapons. Weapons that only hurt humans. Taiho's face went dark. He checked his own device, making sure it was secure. Then he showed them a message from Admiral Dong-hyun Lee, head of Earth's fleet. The Admiral has been moving ships quietly, he said. Confederation vessels were seen near all our silent colonies. They're preparing for something, Ji-woo whispered. Taiho nodded. I'm going to talk to Seth tomorrow. We need answers. Seth's office was high in the station, with windows that looked out at the stars. The blue alien sat behind a curved desk, 2 of its 4 hands folded together. Commander Kim, it said. This is unexpected. Taiho placed a tablet on the desk. I want to know what happened to our colonies. As I've said before, we are investigating. No more lies, Taiho cut in. We know you've been studying humans in secret, testing weapons against us. Seth's skin changed from blue to a darker shade. You should not have been in those areas. So it's true. The alien stood up. All 4 hands moved in a pattern that seemed nervous. Your kind advances too quickly, Seth said. In a few hundred years, you've done what took others thousands. It is concerning. That doesn't give you the right to attack our colonies, said Taiho. We haven't attacked anyone, Seth replied, but its eyes shifted away. But the Council has been discussing Earth's place in the galaxy. Your military grows too large. Your ships explore too eagerly. Are you threatening Earth? Seth's mouth formed what might have been a smile, but it wasn't friendly. Not a threat. An offer. Earth must reduce its fleet by 80%. Allow Confederation supervisors on all colonies. Stop making new weapons. And if we refuse? Taiho asked, already knowing the answer. Then the Confederation will ensure galactic safety by other means. Back in their room, Taiho told Ji-woo and Yunhai about the meeting. It's an ultimatum, Ji-woo said. Become their servants or be destroyed. Taiho nodded. I sent word to Admiral Lee. Earth needs to prepare. Yunhai looked at her data again. Based on what I found, they'd been planning this for years. Those missing colonies were just the start. Outside the window, Confederation ships moved in new patterns. More warships, fewer trading vessels. We should leave, said Ji-woo. Get back to Earth before things get worse. Taiho shook his head. They won't let us go now. We know too much. His tablet beeped with a new message. It was from an unknown sender, written in broken human language. Not all Confederation agree. Some help humans. Meet tonight. Docking Bay 7. Taiho showed the others. A trap or a real ally? Either way, said Jiwu, the galaxy is about to change. In the distance, a large Confederation warship moved into position, its weapons ports open like hungry mouths. The time for talking was ending. The time for survival was beginning. Docking Bay 7 was dark and empty when Taiho arrived. Only emergency lights glowed along the floor. He checked his small hidden gun and waited. You came alone. Good, said a voice from the shadows. A figure stepped forward. It looked human, but Taiho knew better. No human would be here. Who are you? Taiho asked. My name is Q1 Yoon, the man said. I'm human, like you. Taiho raised his gun. That's not possible. I've been here 3 years, Q1 explained. Earth sent me as a spy before official contact. They made me look like one of the Marixus species. He touched his face, and the skin rippled like water. For a moment, blue alien features appeared, then changed back. Disguise technology, Q1 said. But we don't have time. The attack begins in 6 hours. Attack. Taiho's blood went cold. The Confederation is striking all human colonies at once. They call it preventive pacification. Taiho grabbed his communication device. I need to warn Earth. Already done, said Q1. Admiral Lee got the message 2 days ago. But now we need to get you, Jiwu, and Dr. Choi out of here. You'll be arrested when the attack starts. Alarms screamed throughout the station. Red lights flashed in every hallway. Taiho, Jiwu, Yunhai, and Q1 ran toward a small ship at the far end of Docking Bay 3. Faster, Q1 urged. Security forces are closing all exits. A voice boomed over the speakers. Attention all personnel. Human rebellion in progress. Detain all Earth representatives immediately. Rebellion, Jiwu said between breaths. They're the ones attacking. They reached the ship just as doors at both ends of the bay began to close. Guards with weapons appeared, firing glowing bolts that melted metal where they hit. Get in, Q1 shouted, pushing them up the ramp. Taiho was last. A bolt hit near his foot. He turned and fired his gun twice. The guards fell back. Inside the ship, Q1 jumped into the pilot's seat and started the engines. Hold on, he yelled. The small ship shot forward, barely squeezing through the closing bay doors. Then they were in space, stars all around them. They're following, Jiwu said, looking at the scanner. 3 Confederation ships chased them, weapons charging. Q1 smiled. Don't worry. This ship is special. He pressed a red button. The stars around them stretched like rubber bands. Then, with a flash, they jumped to faster than light speed. Admiral Dong-hyun Lee stood on the bridge of Earth's largest warship, the Asterisk Thunder of Seoul Asterisk. Screens all around showed battles at human colonies. Status report, he ordered. Colony 7 evacuated successfully, an officer replied. Colonies 3 and 5 under heavy attack. 9 and 12 are gone. Dong-hyun's face was hard as stone. Deploy the Sentinel ships to help 3 and 5. Keep evacuation running at all costs. The Admiral had prepared as much as possible after Q1's warning. Ships had been stationed near vulnerable colonies. Civilian ships were ready for evacuation, but it wasn't enough. Sir, incoming transmission from Earth Central, said another officer. The main screen showed the face of Earth's president. She looked tired but determined. Admiral, the Senate has voted. Earth is now at war with the Galactic Confederation. Dong-hyun nodded. What are my orders, Madam President? Protect our people first, then make them regret this day. Understood. The Admiral turned to his crew. Activate the ghost ships. Across human space, hidden vessels powered up. For years, Earth had been building secret weapons, just in case. Now that case had arrived. Taiho's small ship reached Earth 3 days later. They landed at the Central Command in what used to be Seoul. General Min Soo Kang met them on the landing pad. His uniform had new medals that hadn't been there 6 months ago. "Commander Kim," he said with a short bow. "Welcome home. Though I wish it were under better circumstances." "How bad is it?" Taiho asked. "We've lost 11 colonies, millions dead or captured." Min Soo's eyes were red from lack of sleep. "But we've surprised them too. Their first wave expected no resistance." In the distance, massive ships lifted into the sky. New weapons gleamed on their hulls. "The Confederation thought we would be easy to defeat," Min Soo said. "They thought humans would surrender." "They were wrong," said Taiho. "Yes," Min Soo agreed. "And they're about to learn how wrong." Above them, Earth's new war fleet gathered. The last war with humans was about to begin. 3 months into the war, the Confederation leaders held an emergency meeting. Their grand chamber, once a place of calm discussion, now buzzed with angry voices. Seth stood at the center, his blue skin now pale with stress. "How is this possible?" asked a tall, bird-like alien. "The humans should have fallen already." Their response was unexpected. Seth admitted, "We destroyed 11 of their colonies, but they saved most of the people. And now they are pushing us back," finished another council member. "3 of our border stations have fallen. 5 supply ships destroyed last week alone." Seth nodded, 4 hands moving nervously. "Their ghost protocol is unlike anything we've seen." Screens around the room showed human ships appearing and disappearing, striking without warning. The Confederation's careful battle plans fell apart against enemies who never did what was expected. "We need to end this quickly," Seth said, "before more species begin to question our wisdom." On Earth, General Min Soo Kang stood in the war room. Maps and screens covered the walls, showing battles across space. "Ghost protocol is working," he told the gathered officers. "The enemy can't predict what they can't understand." Min Soo had created a new way of fighting. Human ships used computers with randomness built in. Every attack was different. Every defense changed pattern. "The Confederation fights by rules," Min Soo said. "They expect us to do the same, but humans don't play by alien rules." Admiral Dong Hyun Lee nodded in agreement. "We've taken back 3 colonies, but we've lost 2 more. This war is far from over." Commander Taiho Kim stepped forward. "I have news from our intelligence division." All eyes turned to him. After returning to Earth, Taiho had been put in charge of understanding the enemy. "We've learned why the Confederation fears us so much," he said. "They met humans before." The room went quiet. "What do you mean?" asked the president. "Thousands of years ago, they found early humans on Earth. They thought we were too aggressive, too quick to adapt. They planned to watch us, and if we ever reached space." Taiho paused. "They would stop us." "So this attack was always coming," said Dong Hyun. "No matter what we did." "Yes," Taiho said. "They never planned to accept us as equals." In a small lab on the rebuilt Luna base, Dr. Yunhai Choi worked with alien technology captured in recent battles. "Look at this," she told Lieutenant Ji Woo Park. "Their weapons are designed to target human nervous systems specifically." Ji Woo leaned closer to the screen. "They really did prepare for this war long before we knew they existed. But that gives us an advantage," Yunhai said with a small smile. "Their weapons work well against humans, but not against our machines." She pressed a button, and a door opened. Inside stood 5 robots, each the size of a human. They moved with smooth grace. "Combat units with human pilots controlling them remotely," Yunhai explained. "The Confederation weapons will have no effect." Ji Woo smiled. "That's brilliant." "Humans adapt," Yunhai said simply. "It's what we do best." Q1 Yoon sat in a small ship hidden near a Confederation outpost. His disguise was perfect. He looked exactly like one of the Marixus species. His radio crackled. "Agent Yoon, this is Commander Kim. Are you in position?" "Yes, sir," Q1 replied. "I'm picking up an interesting transmission. It seems not everyone in the Confederation agrees with this war." "Explain," Tahoe said. "The Araxians. They're one of the oldest species. They've called for a meeting with human representatives." There was silence on the line as Tahoe considered this. "Could be a trap," he finally said. "I don't think so," Q1 said. "From what I can tell, 7 Confederation species are questioning the leadership. The Araxians are the most powerful among them." "Allies?" Tahoe asked. "Possibly," said Q1. "At minimum, they might stop fighting us." "Good work. Stay hidden and learn what you can." After the call ended, Q1 looked out at the stars. The Confederation had thought humans would be easy to defeat. They thought humans would follow the normal patterns of war. What they didn't understand was that humans had been fighting each other for thousands of years. War was in their history, if not their nature. And humans had learned one important lesson from all those wars: adapt or die. The Confederation was about to learn that lesson too. The human colony on Proxima B burned. Confederation ships circled overhead, weapons firing down at the surface. But they weren't hitting their targets. Shields holding at 87%, reported a technician in the underground command center. Engineer Han Jun-baek nodded, watching his screens closely. Sweat ran down his face despite the cool air. Cerberus defense system is working perfectly. Above the colony, invisible energy fields caught and absorbed the alien attacks. Han Jun had created the shields after studying captured Confederation technology. What had taken the aliens centuries to develop, he had improved in months. On the main view screen, Admiral Dong Hyun Lee's face appeared. "Status report, Engineer Baek." "We're safe, Admiral," Han Jun replied. "They can't touch us." "Good. Reinforcements will arrive in 20 minutes. Hold your position." The screen changed to show Earth's newest battleships jumping into the system. The Confederation ships scattered like startled birds. Han Jun smiled. 6 months ago, humans had been on the defensive. Now, they were pushing back. In a secret lab deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, Dr. Yunhai Choi made a discovery that would change the war. "It works," she shouted, jumping up from her chair. Lieutenant Ji-woo Park looked up from her own work. "What works?" Yunhai pointed to a small device on her desk. It looked simple, just a metal box with lights. "Quantum entanglement communication," she said. "Instant messages across any distance. No signals that can be detected or blocked." Ji-woo's eyes widened. "You mean we can talk to our ships anywhere in the galaxy, without the Confederation hearing us?" "Yes," Yunhai nodded. "And more. I think we can use the same principle for transportation, moving ships instantly from one place to another." "That would change everything," Ji-woo whispered. Yunhai's smile faded slightly. "But the power requirements are enormous. We can only use it for small ships now, or for messages." "It's still amazing," Ji-woo said. "We need to tell Command right away." Commander Tahoe Kim sat across from an alien he never expected to meet as a friend. The Araxian was tall and thin, with skin that shifted colors like an octopus. "My name is Vorla," the alien said in a musical voice. "I speak for 7 species who wish to end this war." They met on a neutral space station, with guards from both sides watching carefully. "Why now?" Tahoe asked. "The Confederation started this war. They tried to wipe us out." Vorla's skin darkened with what might have been shame. "Not all of us agreed. The High Council acted without full consensus. And now that we're fighting back effectively, you want peace." Tahoe's voice was cold. "We want justice," Vorla corrected. "The Council lied to us about humans. They said you were savages who would destroy the galactic balance. But we've seen how you fight. How we fight. You target military ships and bases. You evacuate civilians when possible, even our civilians. This is not the behavior of savages. Taiho nodded slowly. So what are you proposing? An alliance, Vorla said. 7 species will break from the Confederation. We will provide star maps, technology, and support. Why should we trust you? Vorla placed a data crystal on the table. This contains the location of the Confederation's main shipyards, a sign of good faith. Admiral Donghyun Lee looked at the data with amazement. These shipyard coordinates change everything. We can cut off their ability to make new warships. The war room buzzed with excitement. The human military leaders gathered around the holographic display showing the target. We'll need everything we have for this attack, General Min Su Kang said. It's deep in their territory. Dong Hyun nodded. I'll lead the attack myself. If we destroy these shipyards, we might end the war years earlier. There's more, Taiho said, stepping forward. Our intelligence team found something in captured data cores. He touched a control, and new images appeared. They showed laboratories where alien scientists worked on human DNA. They plan to change us, Taiho explained. Not just defeat us in war, but remake our species. Remove what they call our aggressive tendencies through genetic engineering. The room went silent. Then General Min Su spoke, his voice hard as steel. They want to destroy what makes us human. Yes, Taiho said. This isn't just a war for our colonies or our rights in the galaxy. It's a war for humanity itself. Admiral Dong Hyun stood straight, his decision made. Then we will show them exactly what human aggressive tendencies can do. Operation Thunderstrike begins tomorrow. The tide of war was turning, and the galaxy would never be the same. 1 year had passed since the war began. Stars that once shone peacefully now flickered with the light of battle. Space itself seemed tired of the fighting. Admiral Dong Hyun Lee stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Asterisk Thunder of Seoul Asterisk. Through the view screen, he watched the Confederation shipyards burn. Operation Thunderstrike had worked better than anyone hoped. All targets destroyed, Admiral reported his second-in-command. Enemy ships retreating. Dong Hyun nodded, but his face showed no joy. Victory came with a price. 3 human ships had been lost, with all their crews. Begin jump preparations, he ordered. We need to be back in our space before their reinforcements arrive. As the human fleet prepared to leave, Dong Hyun thought about the war's growing cost. Millions dead on both sides. Worlds scared by weapons never meant to be used. And the fighting only grew more intense. In a hidden base on Mars, engineer Han Jun-baek worked with a team of scientists on humanity's newest weapon. The Prometheus protocol is ready for testing, he told General Min Su Kang. Min Su looked at the small device on the table. It seemed too simple to be so powerful. Explain it again, he said. It creates a field that stops faster than light travel, Han Jun replied. Any ship trying to jump while in the field will be trapped in normal space. How large is the field? Currently, about the size of a solar system. With more power, we could cover an entire sector. Min Su's eyes widened. That would change everything. The Confederation relies on quick movement between their territories. Exactly, Han Jun said. We can trap their fleets wherever we want. The general nodded slowly. Begin full production. This might be the edge we need. On the Confederation capital world, the emergency alarms had been ringing for 3 days straight. Seth hurried through crowded hallways toward the council chamber. The humans have taken the Orient sector, another council member told him as they walked. 4 of our supply bases destroyed. And the shipyards? Seth asked, though he already knew the answer. Gone. Their attack was perfect, like they knew exactly where to strike. Seth's 4 hands clenched into fists. We have traitors among us. The council chamber was in chaos when they entered. Leaders of 20 species argued loudly. Silence, shouted the oldest council member. The room quieted. We must act decisively. The humans are pushing deeper into our territory each day. The Orcs and 6 other species have officially broken from the Confederation, said another member. They're helping the humans now. Seth stepped forward. Then we must use the emergency protocols. Deploy the void weapons. Gasps filled the room. The void weapons had never been used in the Confederation's long history. Those are planet killers, someone protested. And the humans are Confederation killers, Seth replied. We have no choice. Commander Tae-ho Kim and Agent Q1 Yoon moved silently through the dark halls of the Confederation's most secret research facility. Their mission: find proof of the enemy's next plans. This way, Q1 whispered, his disguise making him look like a Marixa scientist. They entered a large room filled with holographic displays. Tae-ho plugged a small device into the main computer. Downloading now, he said. 2 minutes. Q1 kept watch at the door. Hurry. Security patrols pass every 10 minutes. As the data flowed into their device, Tae-ho looked at the displays around him. One showed a strange black sphere that seemed to swallow light itself. What is that? He asked. Q1 glanced at it. His face paled. That's a void sphere. It creates a small, controlled black hole. It can destroy an entire planet. Tae-ho's hand tightened on his weapon. Are they planning to use these? They would need the full council's approval. Such weapons have been banned for thousands of years. The download completed with a soft peep. Tae-ho removed the device and checked its contents. They have approval, he said grimly. Target list shows 3 human colony worlds. We need to warn Earth, Q1 said. As they slipped out of the facility, Tae-ho contacted Admiral Lee using Yunhai's quantum communicator. Admiral, they're escalating beyond anything we expected. We need to implement Operation Iron Sky immediately. The war had entered a new phase, one where planets died, and stars themselves might be weapons. The galaxy would remember this time forever. No one would forget what happened when the Confederation pushed humanity too far. New Terra Colony vanished in a flash of darkness. One moment, 8 million people lived there. The next, only a swirling black void remained where the planet once orbited. 2 days later, it happened again at Hope Colony. Then a third time at New Sol. On Earth, the War Council watched recordings of the destruction in stunned silence. 3 colonies gone, General Min Su Kang said finally. The void spheres work exactly as our intelligence reported. Admiral Dong Hyun Lee's face was a mask of controlled anger. Did we manage to evacuate anyone? Some, Min Su replied. About 30% of New Terra, 20% of Hope. Almost none from New Sol. The attack came too quickly. President Han stood up. Her eyes were red from crying, but her voice was strong. The Confederation has crossed the final line. They are no longer fighting a war. They are committing genocide. She turned to Engineer Han Jun-baek. Is the solar lance ready? Han Jun nodded. All satellites are in position. They can be activated within 1 hour. Do it, the President ordered. Target the 2 Confederation homeworlds we discussed. Han Jun looked down. Madam President, the solar lance will melt the surface of those worlds. Billions will die. Billions of our people are already dead, she replied. And the Confederation will not stop. We have no choice left. The Avrillian homeworld was famous for its beautiful blue oceans and golden cities. From space, it looked peaceful. That peace ended when the sky caught fire. Hundreds of human satellites appeared in orbit. They unfolded like metal flowers, mirror surfaces catching and focusing the sun's light. Beams of concentrated heat struck the planet's surface. Cities melted. Oceans boiled. The Avrillian world screamed. The same happened at the Tellurian homeworld. 2 founding members of the Confederation learned what it meant to face humanity's full fury. Lieutenant Ji Woo Park sat at her communication station, listening to transmissions from across the galaxy. Since the war began, She had learned to speak 12 alien languages. Now those languages filled the airwaves with panic. "It's working," she told Commander Taho Kim. 4 more Confederation species have announced they're leaving the Alliance. Taho nodded. "And the evidence we sent about the Confederation's original plans. Broadcasting on all channels," Jiwoo confirmed. "Our Araxian allies are helping spread it to every world." Across the galaxy, beings of all kinds watched the truth. Secret recordings of the Confederation's first meetings about humans, plans made centuries ago to prevent Earth from ever joining galactic society, and finally, the decision to launch the unprovoked attack. "The Confederation is fracturing," Jiwoo said. "Their own people are turning against them." It should have been a moment of victory, but Taho felt no joy. The cost had been too high. "Any word from Engineer Bake?" he asked. Jiwoo smiled for the first time in days. "Yes, the Lazarus Matrix is working." Han-Jun Bake stood on an observation platform, watching his greatest creation come to life. Around Earth and all remaining human colonies, giant towers rose into the sky. Each tower generated part of an energy field, creating a shield that even void spheres couldn't penetrate. "The Lazarus Matrix is at full power," his chief assistant reported. "All colonies protected." Han-Jun closed his tired eyes briefly. He had worked without sleep for weeks after the destruction of New Terra. Now, at last, humanity had a defense against the Confederation's worst weapons. "Send word to Admiral Lee," he said. "Our worlds are safe now. We can focus on ending this war." Vorla the Araxian met with Taho on a small neutral station. The alien's color-shifting skin now stayed a dull gray, showing exhaustion or sadness. "The war has gone too far," Vorla said. "Both sides have used weapons that should never have been created." Taho couldn't disagree. "That's why we need to end it quickly." "My people have studied the oldest star maps," Vorla said, placing a data crystal on the table. "There is a way to reach the heart of Confederation space directly. Past their defenses. Yes, a route they believe is impossible to navigate, but humans have better pilots than any species we've seen." Taho picked up the crystal. "With this, we could reach their leadership directly. And end the war," Vorla finished, "before the galaxy itself is torn apart." As Taho left the meeting, he received a message from Earth. Operation Endgame was approved. The final push would begin in 1 week. After 2 years of brutal war, humanity was preparing its last, desperate gambit. The galaxy would never be the same again. 3 years of war had left the galaxy scarred. Dead worlds circled their stars in silence. Fleets of broken ships drifted through empty space. Both humanity and the Confederation stood on the edge of collapse. Admiral Donghyun Lee looked at the faces around the table. Once, the war room had been filled with officers. Now only 5 remained. The last leaders of humanity's defense. "Operation Endgame begins tomorrow," he said. "Every ship we have left will jump to these coordinates." The holographic map showed the heart of Confederation space, their capital system. "This is our last chance," General Min Su Kang said. "We've lost too many worlds, too many people. If this fails..." He didn't need to finish. Everyone knew what failure meant. Taho Kim pointed to a thin line on the map. "This is the route the Araxians gave us. It passes through the Scarlet Nebula. The Confederation thinks it's impossible to navigate." "Is it?" asked the president. "For their pilots, yes," Taho replied. "But our ships have better sensor systems, and we have something they don't." "What's that?" asked Jiwoo Park. "Desperation," Taho said simply. Dr. Eun-Hai Choi hadn't slept in 3 days. Her lab under the Pacific Ocean had become her home, her prison, and her last hope. "I found something strange," she told Taho over a secure line. "Something about the Confederation leadership." "What is it?" he asked. "They're not what we thought." Eun-Hai's voice was tight with excitement and fear. "The oldest species, the ones who control everything. They don't have physical bodies anymore. Tai-ho frowned. What do you mean? They've transferred their minds into distributed networks. They exist as data now, spread across multiple systems. That's why we can't kill them. That's why they don't fear death like we do. How did you discover this? The quantum communication system I built. It can detect consciousness patterns. Theirs are different. She paused. But this also gives us a way to defeat them. Operation Endgame began with a single ship. Small and fast, it jumped into the Scarlet Nebula alone. Inside, Han Jun-baek worked furiously at the controls. His invention, the Prometheus Protocol, had been modified for a new purpose. Instead of stopping faster than light travel, it now created a path through the dangerous nebula. Path stable, he reported over the quantum link. Sending coordinates now. Behind him, 200 human warships appeared, following the safe route he created. They moved in perfect formation through swirling red gases that would normally tear ships apart. On the other side waited the heart of the enemy, the Confederation capital world. Seth stood in the central control chamber of the capital, all four hands moving in patterns of extreme distress. Impossible, he shouted. They cannot be here. But the screens showed the truth. Human ships poured out of the Scarlet Nebula, a route that had been deemed unnavigable for 10,000 years. Launch all defenses, ordered another council member. Every ship, every weapon. Seth knew it wouldn't be enough. The Confederation had spent its strength fighting across the galaxy. Their home defenses were strong, but not against a force this size. We need to upload ourselves to the emergency network, Seth said. Transfer all council consciousness to the distributed systems. It was their final defense. If their physical forms died, their minds would live on in the vast computer networks that spanned their worlds. They could rebuild, return, and continue the fight. As the first human weapons struck the planet's shields, the council members lay in transfer chambers. Their minds flowed out of their bodies and into the network. They would be safe there, or so they thought. Tai-ho's ship landed near the capital city, protected by Earth's newest weapons. General Min-Su led ground forces to secure the council chambers, while Admiral Dong-hyun commanded the space battle. But the real mission belonged to Tai-ho and Yun-hai. The Orpheus signal is ready, Yun-hai said, activating a device no larger than her hand. When I turn this on, it will send a pulse through their entire network. And it will work? Tai-ho asked. Yun-hai nodded. It will separate consciousness from systems, force them back into physical form without killing them. The war ends today, Tai-ho said, one way or another. As human ships fought in the skies above, Yun-hai activated the signal. Throughout the Confederation networks, the oldest and most powerful beings in the galaxy suddenly found themselves pulled from their safe digital homes. The final battle for the galaxy had begun. The Orpheus signal spread through the Confederation networks like a wave. In secure chambers across the capital, ancient beings who had lived as pure data for centuries suddenly found themselves back in physical bodies. Bodies they had almost forgotten how to use. Seth gasped as awareness returned to flesh. Limbs felt heavy. Breathing seemed strange. Around him, other council members struggled with the same shock. What have they done to us? Someone whispered. The door to their chamber opened. Commander Tai-ho Kim walked in, followed by soldiers. The war is over, Tai-ho said simply. Your fleets are defeated. Your defenses have fallen. And now you can die like the rest of us. Fear, a feeling the council members had not known for centuries, filled the room. You would execute us? Seth asked, his four hands trembling. No, Tai-ho replied. That would make us what you claimed we were. Instead, you will face justice. 3 months later, representatives from 36 species gathered in the Great Hall that once housed the Confederation Council. Humans sat alongside former enemies and allies. The room buzzed with many languages. Admiral Dong-hyun Lee and General Min-Su Kang stood with President Han as she addressed the gathering. Today marks a new beginning, she said. The war has cost us all dearly. Planets destroyed. Billions dead. But from this pain, we can build something better. On screens around the room, images of devastation reminded everyone of the war's cost. Broken worlds, ruined cities, refugee ships crowded with the survivors of dead colonies. Humanity did not start this war, the president continued, but we helped end it. And now we offer our hand in true friendship, not dominance. Vorla the Araxian stepped forward. The old confederation failed because it feared difference. It sought to control rather than cooperate. We must not make the same mistake. One by one, representatives from each species spoke. Some had fought alongside humans. Others had been bitter enemies. All had seen enough of war. By day's end, they signed the Galactic Covenant. Unlike the old Confederation, this new alliance would be built on respect, not fear. But there was one clause that all species agreed to without debate. It became known as the Earth Clause. Any species that initiates aggression against humanity will face united opposition from all signatories of this covenant. The last war with humans was destructive beyond measure. There shall not be another. 300 years later, a young alien student named Zik visited the War Memorial on Mars. The great museum held artifacts and records from the conflict that had reshaped the galaxy. Zik walked through halls that showed the war's progression, from first contact to final battle. In the center stood holograms of 7 humans: Ta-Ho Kim, Ji-Woo Park, Dong-Hyun Lee, Min-Soo Kang, Yun-Hai Choi, Han-Jun Baek, and Q-Won Yoon. "Welcome," said the hologram of Ta-Ho. "I am a recreation based on the memories and records of Commander Ta-Ho Kim. What would you like to know about the war?" "Was it worth it?" Zik asked. "All that death and destruction." The hologram seemed to consider this. War is never worth its cost, but sometimes it is unavoidable. What matters is what comes after. Zik looked at the final exhibit, a map of the modern galaxy, peaceful and prosperous. Hundreds of species now work together, travel together, live together. "We built something better from the ashes," the hologram continued. "That's what humans do. We adapt, we survive, and we remember, so we don't repeat our mistakes." At the far edge of known space, a survey ship from a newly spacefaring race discovered something strange. A massive derelict vessel, drifting silent and dark. The captain ordered a team to investigate. They found human writing on the hull, Earth markings from the Great War. When the captain reported the discovery, the response came within minutes. "Return to your ship. Leave immediately. Do not attempt contact or recovery." "But why?" the captain asked. "It's just an old wreck." The reply was simple. "That ship belongs to humans. The last war with humans was so brutal. The galaxy never dared again." The captain looked once more at the ancient battleship, a silent reminder of humanity's power. Then she ordered full retreat. Some lessons the galaxy had learned well. Some warnings would never be forgotten. And somewhere, the descendants of Earth watched the stars, ready to defend their place in the universe, not with cruelty or conquest, but with the same determination that had saved them when the galaxy tried to erase them. The war was history now, but its memory kept the peace.